It seems like it's been 40 weeks since you got 40 winks. Your back pain? Unbearable. Tossing, turning, trying to find that pain-free position. And that's the moment you realize you can't spend another waking moment putting off treatment.
The Joint and Spine Center is Cincinnati's leading destination for spine care, with a ton of surgical and non-surgical treatments for back pain. So when a moment has the power to change the rest of your life, go to the one place with the power to change it for the better, the Christ Hospital Health Network. This changes everything.
The Pound This Podcast is brought to you by the Christ Hospital Health Network. This is the Pound This Podcast, episode 734, How a Growth Mindset Can Help You Reach Your Goals.
I want to lose weight, but I don't know how to get started.
What should I meal prep every week?
How do I get those sweet booty gains?
Inspiration for your healthy lifestyle. The Pound This Podcast with Amanda Valentine.
Hello, friends. Before we get into this episode about a growth mindset, lack mindset, and how that helps your goals, I want to talk to you about reaching your goals with a health coach, if that's what you're looking for. My friend Sarah at Team Fit With Me is an amazing health coach. She has been my personal health coach since October of 2020. She's been a part of this podcast in one way or another since 2018, year one that I created this podcast, which is pretty amazing. If you're looking for somebody to hold you accountable, to help you learn more about nutrition, your macros, etc., if you have issues with PCOS, hormonal dysfunction, thyroid diseases, gut health conditions, she can help you with that. She has a medical team that will look over labs. She has a food relationship coach partner. The list goes on. Team Fit With Me is literally a team of amazing people that will help you reach your goals. And right now you can get 10% off month one of all packages, plans, and add-on services when you go to teamfitwithme.com/poundthis, which you will find in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening to the Pound This Podcast. I'm Amanda Valentine. Who are you?
My name's Josh.
Hi, Josh. Nice to meet you.
Hi.
Josh, who are you? What do you do?
I own Cincy 360 Fitness and personal trainer.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Welcome to Pound This.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You've only been here a couple times.
Few.
So I'm excited because this topic was your idea.
Yeah, we'll see where that goes.
So all the pressure is on you to make sure that this conversation goes well.
Yeah, don't drop the ball.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a great topic to have, and it's a topic that's actually come up, at least for me, a lot recently about a growth mindset. And I think that comes up a lot with clients, with me being a trainer here at the gym, me being a health coach, or just overall being a person that people come to for advice for one thing or another, of kind of just being in the right mindset and headspace to like move forward. It's one of those things where I think that you hear that and you're like, yeah, duh.
Exactly. Yes.
But it's like,
it's really hard to implement.
It is. And that's what's crazy is we were just kind of talking about, well, I guess I'll let you explain. What were you just explaining to me about like a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset? Like how would you define both of those?
So it was all based off of the book Mindset by Carol Dweck, I think is how you pronounce it.
Did you read that?
Listen to it.
Okay.
On Audible. But basically she just talks about there's two different mindsets that people have. And people either have a fixed mindset, and that is where you just think that you just are who you are and you're not really going to change it. You're fixed, right? You're static. Growth mindset is you can develop, you can achieve more, you can be more, you can do more. And it's all in like what lens you look through of whatever that situation is. And if you're coming at it from a fixed mindset, well, you're probably going to have a negative or a less chance of achieving whatever goal you have than if you were to come at it from a growth mindset. And then even if it is like something that you quote unquote fail at, if you have a growth mindset, you don't really fail. You just learn from it. Whereas I feel like a lot of people get stuck in the same mundane routine, and then they just get into this like fixed mindset, just like, well, it just is what it is, or I am who I am, that kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, but if you're happy with who you are, then cool. Yeah. If you're not, maybe you need to look at it from a different lens and, come at it from a growth mindset of like, well, what are my challenges? What are the things that I struggle with? What are the things that I want to get better at? And then, what are the resources that I can use to learn and get better and knowing that whenever you try to grow at anything, you're going to have failures, you're going to have setbacks. Those are learning opportunities of not right now, you have to pay your dues kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas like a fixed mindset, like as soon as you hit like a roadblock, it's like, oh, well, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, but it doesn't have to be that way.
Well, I think what's interesting, I guess before I ask this question, and not throwing anybody under the bus or like bringing up clients or anything like that, of just so like in your just life experience up into the point that you are right now, do you think that you've come across more people in a growth or fixed mindset?
I would say people are wanting to be in a growth mindset, but they're still looking at it through a fixed lens.
Okay.
And myself included. Like this is something that I think you have to like make a choice on a daily basis of how you're going to approach that day. And I know that sounds,
yeah,
that kind of stuff. But it's true. I mean, if you look at it as like this day is just going to be another day, and it's just I just got to get through this, and I can get to bed.
Yeah,
your day is going to be a lot worse than if you wake up and you're like, man, I have the opportunity to do this, and this today. You're going to approach your day differently.
Well, I'm going to pause you right there, though. But I think that is part of the growth process is also recognizing that you're just going to have those days. That I think that you still can grow by saying, today is just a day I got to plow through. Yeah. And not going into it like, well, how do I turn these rain clouds into sunshine and kittens and rainbows?
Right. Yeah,
that's not going to be every day, and that's not realistic. So I think it's part of growth by being like, today's going to suck and I just got to grind through it and get through it. I don't know. That's my opinion.
Oh, for sure. And then if you do have that growth mindset, it's, I'm going to get through it. And I know that there's going to be a better outcome on the other end of it. And then I'm going to learn from it, and I'm going to.
Yeah. Or I got another at bat tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like not every hit's a home run. Right. Like sort of vibe.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like we've talked about it numerous times of like when you come into the gym, like, if you think you're going to come into the gym and every workout's going to, I crushed it.
Yeah.
You're setting yourself up for failure, because you're going to have a lot of days where you're just going to come in and be like, at least I got a workout in.
Yeah, right? I showed up.
At least I moved my body.
Yeah.
It's, but I think that, it's easy to get into that daily habits of life of just, and then you just kind of get into this fixed mindset and you don't even realize that you got, it just got absorbed in the hamster wheel kind of thing. And then next thing you know, it's like, I've been doing the same thing over and over and over again. And if you're happy with that, cool. But if you're not, then there's some things that you need to change with it.
So how do you think that you dig yourself out of that?
I think it's just your daily practices that you do, like what serves you, quote unquote, and what harms you kind of thing. So it's like, if working out makes you feel better, work out more.
Yeah.
If eating healthier makes you feel better and makes you more clear-headed, eat healthier and you'll feel better.
Yeah.
And I think it's just recognizing those things and learning the things that kind of put you in a negative view of how the day is going or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And then I think also just like constantly reading, or learning something new, like growing literally helps you create a growth mindset, because I think that if we are trying to get better, then we just feel better about ourselves because we're striving for something better than where we're at right now. Yeah.
But I would also counterpoint that I don't feel like everybody in my experience feels good doing that. I think that some people, which I want to get to in a second, you have a whole chart of like what fixed is versus growth mindset.
Yeah.
But I feel that some people are happy and comfortable in the fixed mindset. And I don't really think that should be a negative. Again, like to your point, if somebody is enjoying it. So like, I think that you and I are both feel good about progressing and growing and learning and doing those things. And that's a positive for us. And so we do those things because that feels good to us, but that doesn't feel good for everybody. And I think especially if you look at the state of the world now and just the divide of people, how there's just no more gray area anymore. Yeah. It's like either this team or that, that it's just kind of like, well, I think you should be this way. and so your way sucks.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we're not even saying a fixed mindset is negative.
Right.
I don't think it's just like, again, if like that's you, that you're comfortable and you're whatever, it's not like, hey, I'm trying to like kick you in the face and make you do something you don't want to do.
Exactly.
But it's just, one of those things that I think that if you are really unhappy and you find yourself complaining and you don't like, and you're not, then you're going to have to get yourself out of that loop.
Right.
To get to a point where you're not feeling like shit about life.
Yeah. If you want to change, you have to change. Like,
Yeah.
It's just, but so many people think that it's just miraculously going to happen. It's like,
Yeah.
you think you're just going to wake up tomorrow and it's just going to be different?
Yeah.
Like, you got to put in some effort to make it different. You know, I mean, I know, and again, it sounds so elementary, but it is very challenging on a daily basis to make those, you know, awareness in that moment kind of thing. And okay, well, am I looking at this as from a fixed mindset or a growth mindset? And, you know, it's just kind of like that whole, like, look in the mirror kind of thing. And
Yeah.
if you're cool with where you're at, again, yeah, like you're saying, it's not good or bad.
Yeah.
It's just being aware of where you're at and how you're approaching it.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
So what's the little graph you have over there of what fixed versus that is? And I have a little story I want to tell you too on this subject.
So it breaks it down into two different categories, obviously fixed and growth mindset. And then it gives like how each would handle challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And a fixed mindset would just avoid them. And a growth mindset would embrace them. Obstacles, fixed mindset would easily give up. Growth mindset persist in it. Effort, the fixed mindset sees effort as just pointless, whereas a growth mindset sees effort as a path to mastery. Criticism, a fixed mindset would probably, you know, they ignore useful negative feedback, or they would like justify it, right? Or like point out, well, yeah, but you do this or you do that, right? It's like you're pointing back at the individual instead of.
Oh God,
like
I have lived that multiple times.
Growth mindset. Well, I think we all. I mean, I think we kind of like. I don't think you're one or the other. I think that different situations you're different. And, whereas the growth mindset would learn from the criticism. And then success of others, a fixed mindset would feel threatened by the success of others, and a growth mindset would find lessons and inspiration in the success of others. So as a result, you're going to be able to achieve things that you were higher than what you thought you were capable of doing, because you're constantly growing. And then if you have a fixed mindset, you're going to essentially make yourself correct.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have this fixed mindset of like, you're just stagnant. You're static. You are who you are. And then you're going to go through life with that, and you're going to get that.
Yeah.
And then if that is what you're happy with, then you know, the conversation's kind of null and void. But if you're not happy with the results you're getting, then maybe it's the mindset that you're presenting or you're bringing to the situation, you know. And that's where, like, working out, so many people will come in and it's just kind of like, oh, I hate being here. I hate doing this, or, oh, I got to do this. And it's fun to banter back and forth, right? Of like, I would do the same thing, but I would do it, you know?
Yeah.
But if you come at it from the approach of like, man, I get to challenge myself today. I get to make myself better today.
Yeah.
I get to overcome some sort of obstacle today. You're going to have a way different workout than if you come in of like, oh, I got to go to the gym.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, in the same vein of that, and me and you have experienced, I know we've experienced this personally in a lot of ways, but specifically us together with the first Shannon that was on this podcast sharing her journey. And that was in 2019 for long time Found This listeners, or if you want to go back, where she was struggling and where she was just like, I want you and Josh to come on Oh God, I'm going to have to look up what episode this was when we came on. And it was just kind of like, I failed at this before. Every time I try to, to lose weight or to get healthy, I can't do this. And the conversation from both of us to her went on this podcast of like, well, you've already set yourself up for failure.
Right.
You told yourself you can't. So obviously, where do you think you're going to go when the only person that's going to make this happen is you? And you've already made up in your mind that you can't do this, that you're a failure. You're going to be stuck in the same spot unless you put your head in that space of like, well, I can do it this time. And maybe you're not going to do it exactly how your brain writes the story of how you think it's going to go. Nothing ever happens that way. Right. Success or anything never happens in a linear line. But it's like, it's just that you're going to set yourself up for failure before telling you, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. Well, then you're not.
You're not going to do it. Yeah.
And then another example I have of just kind of being in a place where I'm like, again, if you're happy in that place, that's great. But if you're not, then that's where you got to make changes. So this is not only an example of that, but also to realize that you think that you're making the best choice, or you're making the best choice for you. And that sometimes pisses people off. And that's and you think of like, come on, man, like high fives. Like you think that everybody would be down for your success, but just kind of like you brought in that example of that thing that you just read, of that some people see, other people's successes as jealousy. And why do they have this? And I don't. Is whenever I first started making healthier choices and I was losing weight. So this was almost exactly a decade ago. So this is the first year that I was making healthier choices, and I started walking and drinking more water and all the things that I was doing, and which I've talked about on this podcast before, like how I lost somebody who was one of my good friends because like just things just didn't jive anymore. Is that I was at a party and it was her and some other people, and I essentially kind of got cornered, and they're just like, we don't understand why you're losing weight. Like, why can't you just be happy with who you are? And I'm like, I would love it if I was just happy in this body that I'm in this life I've been living, but I wasn't. Right. I was binge eating to the point of pain every night. I was binge drinking. I wasn't doing anything. I just felt like it just didn't feel like me. I didn't feel comfortable in my own body, and something had to change. And it wasn't just, I need to be smaller in order to make it happen. I just want to be able to do these other things and just have more energy and have all of this. And at the time, their weight loss was a focus, but I wasn't super honed in on it. It was just kind of a byproduct of doing these other things. And that's why I told him, like, I wish that I felt happier in this other body, and I don't. So I'm making changes. I'm like, I'm not pushing it on you guys. I didn't show up and like smack the taco out of your hand. I'm like, I'm sitting here drinking a beer and eating queso just like everybody else. Yeah. Like, I don't understand. And it was just like, that's where I'm like, where is this coming from? And I'm like, I'm sorry that I'm like, and I'm all about body positivity. And yes, you should love your body in whatever body you're in, but unless you're not happy with that, whatever reasons, and I think that you have to sort through that for yourself. Do you want to change because you want to fit into some societal version of what you think you should be? Or is it because you feel uncomfortable and you just don't feel good in your own body? There's different, like, and that's only up to you to decide why you want to make those changes. And that was just something for me where I'm like, I feel like I'm doing good things for myself, and I feel like I'm getting smacked around for it. Yeah. And I mean, that sucks.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, to your point of like, we're recording this and it's right after Thanksgiving. Like, I do not feel healthy today.
Yeah.
Like, I ate a lot more than I normally did. I drank a lot more. The activity level that I had was a lot less than what it is. And today is just like, I just feel heavier.
Yeah.
As an individual. Like, it's not a good feeling. You know? So like, I don't like that feeling. Some people are fine with that. And
well, not only I think are people fine with it, not to interrupt you, but I think it's also that, I mean, as a person that has lived through this multiple times, you just don't know the difference sometimes.
Right.
If you haven't done anything different, and you don't know how your energy levels can change, or how you can, do you know what, speaking of like Thanksgiving and all that stuff, where I feel like I'm on a better track today as we record this, versus I can just tell a difference in just how my knees feel. Like after Thanksgiving and all of that, I could just waking up in the morning and walking down my stairs, and maybe it's just because I'm old too, but like my knees ache. And I'm like, this isn't how it has to feel.
Right.
Like it's just achy and hurts, and because I'm just inflamed and I'm dehydrated. And I know those things because I've worked very hard on making choices for myself so I don't feel that. And so I think that if you don't know the difference, sometimes you're just like, well, that's how it is.
Yep.
I'm almost 40, so my knees are not what they used to be. But sometimes it can be, choosing anti-inflammatory foods and hydration and doing these things that don't necessarily have to have like aesthetics around it. I need to have a 6-pack.
Right.
But it's just like, I don't want my knees to ache when I go down the stairs every morning. And my knees don't ache today, even though I did a more serious lower body workout today than I've done in a very long time. But it's just from getting back on like, okay, I'm going to drink more water. I'm going to get back to my normal routine where I just feel better in my own body. And I think that I lived my life so long not knowing how that different feels. And I did, just especially from like the hardcore dieting I did, knowing how it felt to be like in this weight loss zone or whatever, where you're quote unquote being more healthy than, just, eating McDonald's every day, all day.
Right.
But there's also a point of that where it doesn't feel good either, where you're hungry all the time, or you're like depriving yourself. And again, there's just like everything is a balance and finding a sweet spot and knowing it just, if you're not feeling good right now, it doesn't have to be that way. Like there's so many people that have, there's some sort of chronic diseases or things like that can be not cured, but can lessen the load by just with the foods you choose and the movement that you choose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think that kind of sums up fixed mindset and growth mindset, but through action of like, if you haven't lived that before, you don't really know that there's another option. So you just think that it is what it is.
Yeah.
But then you start to like explore different things and, oh, okay, well, this is a little different, or I do feel more energy. That's what I try to tell clients, because usually when people come in and they hire a trainer, it's usually they want to lose weight, right? That's the number one goal. But I always tell people like weight's like a 6 month kind of thing. And that's dependent upon obviously a lot more outside things that you're doing. But the first thing that you're going to realize is like just the energy level that you have, right? Your energy is going to go up. You're going to start, clothes are going to start fitting a little bit different. You're going to have more clear-headedness, like just all of these things that you don't think of. That's not why you're coming in, right? You're not coming in for all this stuff, but these are all the things that you're going to become aware of in the beginning of it. And then kind of weight loss is like a byproduct of it, it's just the consistency that you're doing over time is what creates the whatever outcome that you want.
Well, and just how you sleep so much better. Of just exercising, it just gives you typically a deeper sleep, and you can sleep longer, and it's just because you've worked your body in a different way. There's just so many things, but those things aren't sexy, and they take time, and all of us have some varying degree of impatience. We live in a very immediate gratification culture. And that's hard to say. And it's also when you hear like you're listening to a podcast and you can be like, well, yeah, easy for you two to say, you're like personal trainers, you know what I mean? You can toss that off too. Yep. But it's also a lifestyle for both of us. It's not like we wake up like this every day.
Yeah. Yep. Everybody's given the same 24 hours. I mean, you just gotta, the choices that are within those 24 hours are indicative of the outcome that you're going to get in most cases.
Yeah.
There are definitely outside circumstances that you just can't, that, those things do happen.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, you see so many crazy things that have happened to people, and then those, the stories that then come from that, people, just what's the Olympics, but it's the Paralympics
for people with disabilities.
Yeah, you just watch athletes like that, and it's like, holy cow! Like, easily every one of those could have been like, "Woe is me," But people choose to, the cards that they're dealt, then they just play with them.
Well, even from a personal experience, again, everything is choices, and it's not that you're going to make the right choice every time. I definitely don't. I try to do my best. And sometimes when I don't, I'm like, well, that felt like the right choice in the moment. So I can't hate myself for it. But just even an example that I've seen in myself of, so several years, it was 2008. I broke my foot in the dumbest way possible. I was sitting on my foot, like, like you tuck your foot underneath you on a chair and just kind of sit on your foot, and it fell asleep. And I was in a meeting at work, and I got up to close a door because we were just being loud and obnoxious, and went to close the door, and my foot was asleep, and I walked on it, and it rolled and snapped, and I couldn't feel it at first. And then from that, I got blood clots from the break. So I had a DVT in my calf, and then that moved up to my knee, and then they freaked out and thought I was going to go straight to my heart. And then I had to immediately do Coumadin shots of blood thinners in my stomach. My stomach was completely bruised all the way around, and I had to get blood drawn every single day for 6 months and do all this crap. But at that moment, whenever, oh, my foot broke and oh my God, and I have blood clots, my choice was just like, screw it, I can make myself feel better. And I remember like getting home from the ER, I'm ordering an insane amount of Chinese food and I'm going ham on it.
Right.
Because I'm like, whatever.
Yep.
And that was my choice. And that's fine. And like, if I comfort with food, I get it. I still do. And so, but now coming off of injuries, although it's not a foot break, but look at all the dumb crap that happened to me this year, getting a concussion and jacking up my back going down a damn slide at a playground and all the stupid ways that I injure myself that slow me down. My choices aren't, oh my God, cry me a river. I'm going to need 2 pounds of General Tso's chicken to like dress my wounds with.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, I'm going to take some turmeric pills for inflammation. I'm going to make sure I drink more water. I'm going to go to physical therapy. I'm going to do my stretches every day. And it makes me feel better. And it's like, those are choices. And I don't like doing physical therapy exercises. It sucks. It's boring. I don't like it. I'll be honest with you.
Oh, I know.
I know you know.
I know.
But I do those things, and it's kind of like, again, of like, I think living through knowing how that made me feel of just eating Chinese food and making those choices day after day of like, well, this sucks. And so this is how I'm going to make myself feel better. It didn't make me feel better at all in the long run. But doing these things, I heal so much faster. I feel better in my own body. I'm up and moving and doing things better. And it's because I'm like, I have learned of like, I'm getting better. And it doesn't matter that I'm over 10 years older now at this point than I was at that point. I heal quicker and I feel better in my own body and I snap back better. It's because I'm choosing these different choices than I did then, but I also like learned through that. You know what I mean? If you would have told me at the time, like to start taking some turmeric pills and eat some, hey, why don't you have some salmon and brown rice instead of eating General Tso's chicken, and be like, oh my God, get out of here. Yeah. Like, I don't want to be friends with you.
Yeah. But it is. It's like if you've had chronic pain and then you get like a glimmer of getting out of that, you're like, oh, I want more of that. How do I get more of that? Oh, ice baths? Okay, those suck. But yep, I'll do those. Turmeric pills, whatever. Water, yep. All right, yep. Stretches, yep. Breathing, okay. Because it's like you just, like you said, once you've learned, you've lived through it, then it's like, I want to feel more of that way. Yeah.
And it's work. Like ordering Chinese food's not work. Not that I'm totally dogging on Chinese food. I like Chinese food, but you know what I mean? Of like, that's just, let's shut it off and that's how I'm going to deal instead of.
And sometimes you need that.
Well, for sure.
Right. Like sometimes it's cool if that's just, but tomorrow's a new day and then, you just get to make different choices the next time that it happens or whatever the case may be. So, yeah.
So it's and it's hard, I think, that whenever you've lived through that and you can see those sorts of changes within yourself and other people that have made those changes, when you see somebody who is stuck in a different mindset. And again, if they're not happy, that's the big difference. If they're complaining all the time and they're not moving forward, you're just kind of like, I don't know, at least for me, where I'm like, how can I, like, I don't know. I just want to take stuff away from people. Like, how can I make this work for you? And then you can't. And then you burn yourself out trying to be like, oh, pull them out of it.
Yeah. Whenever people were, oh, my back hurts. Have you been doing your pelvic tilts? Have you been doing your breathing? Well, no. that's the thing that's going to help you.
Yeah.
You got to do the thing to help, but it's like you said, it's work. It's not the sexy things. It's not the easy things.
Yeah. And it's the things though, that if you get through on the other side and you share that story, and then what's crazy is you did all this work and you're feeling good about it. And you're like, oh my God, like guys, listen to this. And to know that still on the other side of that, some other people will be like, oh, hell yeah, I get it. And the other half of people are just kind of like, well, you rubbing in my face?
Exactly.
Why are you making me feel bad about myself? Like, whoa, like that was not the intention. I'm just saying, like, isn't it cool I figured this out? This could be helpful. Right. And then it's like, what are you making me feel bad for? Like, you must be judging me because I don't do that. Like, oh my God. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Well, because I think we were all in our own journeys, right? And it's always like the spectrum, and we're at a certain spot, and then like 10 years down the road, to look back and be like, oh well, that was wrong, or I wish I would have done things differently that way. And that's just speaking for myself and like my own journey, But I think that, that pointing fingers stuff, that irritates me, because it's like we're all trying to figure this thing out.
Right.
Life is, it's crazy. It's very hard. It's very challenging for everyone that's going through it, and we're all just trying to, do the best with what it is that we have, and then like try to help each other along the way. I just don't. But yeah, that whole finger pointing and like people trying to like put other people down because they've done something. It's like I don't get that. But
yeah, and I think that's part of growth, at least part of my growth too, is just being like of seeing it from an outside perspective. Some people are just douchebags, and some people do try to just make you feel bad and rub stuff in people's faces. So that's its own category. But then also just kind of realize if people are finger pointing or they're coming at you in a negative way, of like standing back and being like, am I doing something wrong? Or is this I'm triggering something within them, and they don't know how to deal other than doing this. And that's just where they're at right now. Yeah. So I can't internalize this and just like eat garbage from someone who I'm like, this isn't my garbage to eat. And that's really hard, especially if it's people that you really care about. And so, and that's even too, just like, not that I don't have any clients like this, so I'm not throwing anybody under your buses. None of my clients do any of that. But I imagine that if you are coaching somebody or you're working with somebody, and they're kind of like, they're doing that of like, well, then it's kind of your job. And then how do you like separate that space of like, whoa, I don't know. And I'm just a non-confrontational person, but I luckily don't have that issue.
Right.
But it just feels like, that's just, or just even, I don't know. Figuring out people's hard, man.
Oh, yeah. Well, Jesus, figuring out ourselves is hard enough.
Right.
I think that's, and I think that's why it's the finger pointing stuff is just irrelevant, because we're all trying to just do the best. The majority of people are trying to do the best with the information that they get, and trying to help each other out. But yeah, we are complex humans.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is Kurt Vonnegut that said this was, I just got here myself. Like, we all just got here. None of us have lived this day before. None of us have been this age before. None of us have lived in this year before. Like, none of us have lived in a global pandemic before. Like, we're all trying to figure it out, and it seems like a lot of it sucks for most of us right now, and we're just like, but we're all kind of in the same boat, which is, not to take this off topic from like health and fitness, but that's just kind of like, man, where did we get to a place where we're all trying to survive this thing and figure it out together, and how did we turn this into like screaming matches and hating each other through it? Like, dang, like, man, it's just, we're all just trying to figure it out and process it in our own ways and figuring it out. And I don't know if it's going to help anybody by, you have a slight difference in opinion and you're just like, well, guess what? I'm going to set you on fire now. Like, whoa, that escalated quickly.
Yes. Yes, it did.
Dang. All right. Well, on a different note, let's go into these deep questions of my little game here of if the questions for the game of life. I got this off of Amazon for the people that are curious about this book. Josh, pick a page number between 1, I should know this by now, 1 and 129.
1.
What? Oh my goodness. What's on page 1? Oh, there's not even a page 1. It starts at page 5.
What?
Why did they do that?
Yeah, that seems.
Why was that a
ridiculous.
choice?
Huh.
I'm judging.
Yeah, page 5, page 1.
Oh my God. If you could spend one whole night alone with anyone in the world who is currently alive, who would you select?
Oh. Is this like a romantic question, or is this like a
No, I would just
whatever?
say whatever. Why, do you have a romantic answer?
No, I just didn't know in what context to take it. I don't know. Somebody like, I think Joe Rogan would be a interesting guy to just hear. The guy's got a lot of stories. Like, he has to have. I mean, he knows a lot of different people.
I mean, it would take you all night to listen to him talk all night.
Yeah.
These little podcasts are like mega long.
Yeah, like 3 hours.
Yeah, are you guys going to like, drop some acid and get in a float tank together?
I mean, it's just kind of wherever the night would go. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, just somebody that's like lived some, like Morgan Freeman, like just, somebody that's like lived some.
What about that dude that sawed his own arm off?
And that the hiking thing? Yeah.
Or think about people that are like
Now
Bear
that's a growth
Bear
mindset.
Grylls or something. Like Bear Grylls would be pretty badass to hear about all his stories.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to talk about mindset. That guy's got a whole nother level of
Right?
mindset. Like
The dude that sawed his arm off?
Yes.
Yeah. I feel bad. I don't remember his name.
But it was, what was the movie? 48 hours?
No, it's like 120. Let me Google it real quick. I've
Yeah.
never seen the movie. I know the story, though.
It is intense.
Is it like 129 hours or something like that? Like, yeah, however many hours it took for him to like saw his arm off.
Yes.
127 hours.
Craziness. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody that wants to see an iron mindset, go watch that movie. That guy has a whole nother level.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I should put that on the list.
It's just to like take yourself out of the cinema part of it and like try to put yourself in that situation it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, would you do that? You're like, I'm just going to lay here and either like a coyote is going to come eat me or something. Like, is it saw your arm off for getting eaten alive? Like, I think I would saw my own arm off.
I mean, you would like to think that, yes, you're a badass like that, but given that situation, I hope that I'm never put in that situation.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Like, ever, because that was an intense movie. So, yeah.
That's a good answer. Well, so would you go with like someone like that, or would you go with Joe Rogan?
Yeah, because I feel like that story would, I mean, yes, that's a crazy story, but it's like.
You're like, I already saw the movie.
Yeah.
I already know this.
I know. It seems like it's downplaying what happened, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just saying, like, after that, what do we got? Like, what are we talking about? Like,
I'm sure he's accomplished
I'm
other
sure
things.
I'm not. Oh, jeez.
I know, I'm just hassling you. He starts telling you the story, you're like, heard it before, boring.
Yeah. Move on.
Here, you want to give me one?
Whose would yours be?
I would probably say, I would say a tie, and just for different reasons. I mean, I would like to talk to somebody that's like a survivalist like that, like Bear Grylls, and has done cool things. But I guess, I mean, just like celebrities, I guess, come to mind. One would be Jim Carrey, just because I just was obsessed with him as a kid and him as a performer, and just kind of like where his mind is now, and like all the speeches and stuff that he does now, and how he's an amazing artist and all these other things, and just kind of his kind of philosophies on life and just like his methods. Because have you ever watched Jim and Andy? That's a really good movie.
Okay.
And it's about how, have you seen Man on the Moon? But you don't know, do you know who Andy Kaufman is? So Andy Kaufman's a comedian who is just eccentric. Like, he's just a very eccentric, way out in left field, but like depending on who you ask, brilliant comedian.
Gotcha.
He was like in Taxi, and he did this thing where he like everything about his comedy and his life was you didn't know what was real and what wasn't, like what was staged and what was real.
Okay.
And so Jim, he died, and then when he died, because he got cancer, everybody's like, did he really die? Or is he still alive? Is this a bit?
Gotcha.
And so there was a movie made about his life where Jim Carrey played him. And that's a good movie. Like, it's just interesting, especially if you want to see the life of Andy Kaufman. But then a documentary came out, another movie called Jim and Andy that came out like maybe a couple years ago, showing the method of Jim Carrey acting as Andy Kaufman in this movie, because the whole shoot of the movie, he refused to be, he's not Jim Carrey anymore. He lived his entire life as Andy Kaufman, and as the other characters Andy Kaufman played in life that also was part of like this like screwy mind thing of like, is this a real person or is this Andy Kaufman in disguise?
Right.
And so to hear like just the method of how he played that and kind of lost himself, and then seeing like the directors in the movie and like other people in the movie, they're like, I can't even handle Jim Carrey right now. Like it's not even him. It's just whacked, and it's really interesting. So that, I just think he's a super interesting human. And then my other one would be Dolly Parton, just because she's had an insane career. And not only is her career insane, like she's done so many really good things, like the Imagination Library, and like when the wildfires hit like Pigeon Forge, like she donated like so much money to help all the families. Like she's such a like philanthropic person. And also just to know like her whole thing, her identity as a character she created, and how, especially in the time where she was so famous, like in the 60s and all of that, where she came out as just a sassy female and like just very quick-witted and like using herself as her own, punchline before anybody else could, and how she just beats people to the punch, and she's just like, her comedic timing is amazing, where that's not even what she's famous for. She's famous for her music, but she's just, this is like incredible person of like how she's just quick and witty banter, but also just uses her money for like so much good. Like with the Imagination Library, it's like just millions and millions and millions of kids have gotten free books and have learned to read because of what she put together. And I just think that's really cool, of using your celebrity to like put so much good into the world. I don't know. I think that's really cool. So I would love to talk to either one of those, just to be like, let's take the character off. And I really want to like understand your brain of like, there's obviously strategy behind this of like, how did you live your life in this way, and how do you maneuver this? And then who are you really when there's not a camera around? So that would be my answer to that.
Well, that's a good answer.
Sorry, it's a very long answer.
Do you have a page number?
37.
37.
Some of these, I mean, if there's not a good one that page, you can obviously choose another page next to it. Some of these questions, you're just like, what? It's like, if you had to choose how you die, how would you die?
If you could unknow one thing you know, what would it be?
Oh my God.
Yeah. Good.
If I could unknow.
Marinate on that one for a little while.
I don't know. Maybe like most of what I saw on Rotten.com.
Oh my. Of all the ways that you could have took that, that is not where I thought you were going. And
what?
That's a mic drop.
We done?
That's it. That's it.
All right, bye, Josh.
Yep. See ya.
AmandaValentineBites.com